Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you as always for tuning back in. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Layla, the Lenormand reader, and I use the amazing Lenormand deck. Have a look at the links that I have for you so you can explore and master this amazing deck. Welcome to your weekly reading. We are doing a line of 7 today with the beautiful Tarot Lenormand. Let's go ahead and start with you, Aries, and see what this week has in store for you. Okay, Aries, here is your line of 7. It's looking fun and active. We have the beautiful flowers in the middle. And this triplet here on the other side to the right is the ship, birds, and road. And so this tells us that there's plenty of activity that you're going to have this week. And the rider is also another active card. So these are all movement cards. So they're the majority of the cards. And it's pretty amazing because they're all the movement cards. And so you're probably going to go places. You're going to run errands. You might even travel, if not too far, maybe some place closer to you, but it's a pretty active week and it looks like you have an opportunity to go places, explore, and do exciting things. The flowers in the center is a lovely card right in the middle here. It is a card of all around success, optimism, and it is also a really good card for fun and celebration. So I'm seeing that there's quite a lot of fun energies for you this week. So it's a good idea to take time out, go places, explore, maybe do something different and have a good time. Now, earlier, we have the fox and book on either side of the rider. The rider and book, especially with the flowers after, suggests that there's some good news or some revelation or something comes up that opens up, this movement that we see on the other side of the flowers. The book is sometimes a card of secrecy. And so with the rider, and in this order, maybe something is not revealed, but because the flowers is on the other side of it, there is an opening. And there's also this idea of feedback, of hearing back from someone or something. Earlier, at the beginning of the line, we have the fox, and the fox can be a tricky card. It is a card usually of deception, of people who are self-interested, even selfish. So it always asks for caution. On the flip side, the fox is a clever card, and it is very good at being strategic, at being a charmer, to get what it wants, and things like that. Now, when I see the fox before the rider, it tells us that you want to hang on and be patient until you get the feedback, and you will, and you'll be able to take some action or go to these places or, pursue these objectives that we see on the other side here. But the thing about the fox is that it is sort of a hands-off card, especially in this context, and it tells you to wait until you get the news. In another sense, the fox suggests that you keep to yourself and be discreet about what you're up to until it comes through and until you have the green light to share. And we see the flowers here in the middle is very much a card of sharing. It's very open, and it gives and takes very easily. So we see the change, from the fox, quiet fox, into the opening of the flowers. So hang in there until it comes through, because it will come through and you'll be able to move forward. You get the green light to go ahead after your goals. So really fun cards. Now, the context is not sealed really in these cards. The fox can be a card of jobs. And with the rider, book, and flowers, you can get some really good feedback in terms of your job. Maybe you do well in your job. Maybe you get an opportunity. You could possibly make a job change. These cards can bring about quite a big change because all three cards have to do with travel, especially the ship and road. And so there can be here a change in this sense. So really nice cards. Another possibility with the book is education, learning, knowledge, research. Any of those activities look to be really positive, especially if you're patient for them to pay off, because they will pay off. In terms of people, they're also bright cards. There can be a bit of some question marks with the fox, but with the rider, book, and flowers, something comes up or the change is positive. So you can be reassured that whatever doubts you had are resolved. The bird is also a card of conversation, and it is also a card of news. So it's really good for being open, quite the opposite of the fox, which is secretive and closed. So it sounds like there's going to be an opportunity to connect with someone, to be open, and to move forward in a positive sense. So I was giving all these examples to say that the cards are flexible in terms of context. The fox can be about jobs. The ship is also good for business, but overall the cards are pretty broad and can apply in different contexts. So you let me know in the comments. Now let's look at these pairs here. We have the book and ship, which is great for opening up in a new direction. You could also be going places, maybe somewhere you haven't been to before. It's a really good time for this. Have fun with it and have fun exploring. The rider in birds is very much about news and feedback and also conversations. So there is an opportunity to open up about certain things. And the fox and road, again, can be a bit of a more silent combination because of the fox, but it is also a good combination for putting yourself first and pursuing the things that you want, moving away from anything negative, and also possibly making changes with your work or your employment or certain disciplines in your life. But I do think that with the flowers and the fun that we're seeing here, it's a good idea to put yourself first and to move away from anything negative. So really nice cards, great for positive feedback and being able to act on it, going places, enjoying changes, and also enjoying a warm energy overall. Let me know what you make of this, Aries. As always, I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. Very best of luck with the week. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Taurus, let's get into your line of 7 and see what this week has in store for you. Okay, Taurus, this is a powerful line. It's quite an amazing progression of the cards. We have a very powerful sun and a very challenging whip, and we do have the cross next to the whip, which can also be challenging. Now, the rider is in the middle. It is a card of news, and the bird is also a card of news, and it's right next to it. There's also the woman. So communication here is going to be key. And when we look at the very bright sun and fish in contrast with the challenging cross and whip, it seems to me, Taurus, that you are about to announce some bad news to someone. I think you get an opportunity or something significant happens to you work-wise, business-wise, or financially. And this empowers you to announce something to someone. And I think because of the whip, you could be parting or changing or saying no to something. So let's go ahead and weave the line from the beginning. We have the sun and fish. This is a wonderful pair for abundance, all around abundance and success. This is great for the job, your business, your work, your finances in general. We see it with the woman, and the woman could be part of your success, or perhaps she is someone you could be asking support from for financial matters or things like that. That's the scenario. The rider is in the center. It is a card of news and communication, especially with the bird. And also with the rider, there can be a meeting, maybe like a face-to-face meeting as opposed to just a call. So it's very clear that there is some news, communication, or a meeting with this person. Now here we have the cross and whip, and this is definitely a challenging pair. This is typically a card of pain and regret and even punishment. But in the context of this line, it can be one of two things. Either you announce some bad news to this person, or you turn down this person, or they could be turning you down. So in terms of this financial support or this opportunity here that could come through this person, it's either you have an opportunity that empowers you to turn this person down, or perhaps this opportunity is turned down. Now, which one exactly plays out for you? You let me know, Taurus, in the comments, depending on your specific situation and your context. Now, the context of the cards seem to be business-driven or practical-driven because of the fish, but it can apply in other contexts as well, and I'll get to that in a bit. Let's look at the pairs. We have the woman and the birds. This is clearly a conversation with this person. The fish and cross can be about sacrifices or financial decisions, and likely important ones, Taurus. The cross tends to bring up matters of destiny, deeper matters, and bigger decisions, and sometimes sacrifices. So you could be at a juncture where you need to make a decision with regards to your finances or this opportunity, and clearly it involves another person. The Sun and Whip is quite an interesting pair because the Sun and Whip are equals. The Whip is quite strongly negative and the Sun is quite strongly positive. So when they come together, there's a bit of a tug, and usually the order of the cards matter. We see here the Whip after the Sun, so there can be challenges ahead. At the same time, Taurus, the Sun is so bright that it empowers you to deal with them, and it also minimizes the effect of the Whip. So overall, it looks like you have a lot of blessings coming your way, and you need to make a decision about whether you move forward with this person or how you share them. That's one scenario. Another scenario is that an opportunity or a potential opportunity with this person is either that they turn it down, or they don't have you on board with it, or perhaps you turn it down. So there is this decision across the board, regardless of your specific situation, Taurus. There is a decision, and it does come out with a no at the end of the day. It can be a bigger decision, and I suggest that you give it time. And also, it's worth having this conversation because these cards are quite central and they're really focused on the interaction. So this is going to be key for you to make a decision or to appreciate, how you move forward away from the situation, or how you turn a person down. Now, one thing I want to add is that the fish can be, in terms of relationships, it can be the physical aspect of a relationship, and the Whip can also be associated with that. So there is, on another level, the cards could be exciting, actually, in terms of a relationship. It could be strongly physical relationship with healthy attraction and things like that. That is possible. I could throw that in there. It could apply to you, Taurus. It's not the most common interpretation, but of course it can apply to some of you. So you let me know in the comments. So Taurus, let me know what you make of this. Let me know what you resonated with the most with these ideas and what the issue was specifically for you. I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. Thank you for tuning in as always. Very best of luck with the week. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what is in store for you this week. Okay, Gemini, look at this powerful line. We have the Scythe and Ring showing up, and this is the combination of divorce and separation. And we see the dog in the middle. The dog is a card of people, usually friends, colleagues, other people in your peer group, and we have the snake. So these are some really clear cards for separating from someone, and the reading is going to be really straightforward. We have on the other side here the Rider, which is a card of communication, which tells us that you could announce a separation or saying no or moving away from this person or the situation that you are involved in with them. Earlier, we have the Clouds and Star. This is a reassuring combination. The Clouds points to confusion and stress, and it seems to me, Gemini, that you could have been thinking about this a lot, or you could have been stressed about it. But the Star is a lovely card for healing and clarity, and it tells us that you are going to make a decision and you're going to feel good about it. So I think this is really important for your inner alignment. And then we have the Snake and Dog. So the snake can go in a couple of different ways, or the both can apply, actually. The snake is a card of silence and secrecy. And so it tells us that you're going to wait until you make this change. And it can also reflect who this person is. So they could be a difficult person, someone who is deceptive, someone who's working against you. So you are very clear about this person's position in your life. Now, the Scythe and Ring, like I said, is a clear card of divorce, and the Rider is a card of communication, and it tells us that you're going to deliver this news and announce that you're parting. It is also a card of movement, so we see that you leave this behind you and you move forward. The Rider is also really good at moving along, so letting things go. It takes things in stride and it just pursues its goal. So it's really nice to see the energy of the Rider at the end of the line. Now, something else that comes to mind is that the snake in relationships is often a card of dishonesty and cheating, and it can refer to a third party in the relationship. With the dog, it could specifically refer to that person. And with the scythe and ring, there can be a separation. Now, in triangles, this can go in a few different ways. So you let me know, Gemini, who is the party that falls out of the love triangle, if this applies to you. Is it the third party who's interfering that drops out? Or is it you and your partner who are going to part ways? That's also an interpretation we could apply to these cards, and that's pretty interesting. Let's look at the pairs that we have here. We have the snake and scythe. This is quite a challenging pair. This is usually when the snake bites. And so it's pretty clear that, the swift energy of the scythe is going to come out. So you are going to have to draw a hard line. Look at this lovely pair, the star and ring. This is a helpful pair. Often the pairs in this line of 7, they simply add to what we already read. But in this case, the star and ring, it is quite a helpful message because it's very good for a relationship. So this gives us a clue that you're probably going to save your relationship and the third party is the one that's going to fall out. That's in case the love triangle situation applies to you, Gemini. It might not apply to all of you, but it can apply to some of you. Otherwise, this is a great combination for connecting with your priorities, with supportive people, and also pursuing relationships that align with you. The star is an all-around healing card, and it brings wish fulfillment in a broad sense. So very beautiful to see here. The clouds and rider also very helpful, especially in this order. Like I said, the clouds is a card of confusion, and so you could have been stuck with this situation, but the rider is really good for helping you move past this and move forward. So really nice cards to help you overcome the issues with this person, moving away from them and being really in a good place and feeling really good about your decision to move past it. They could also be the ones who fall out, although the scythe and ring is a bit more aggressive. But even if they themselves fall out, it's still going to feel good. And in fact, it could be outright relieving. So really nice cards, Gemini. The thing about them is that we don't really know what relationships we're talking about here. They could be personal relationships. They could be friendships, other people in your life, possibly colleagues at work, whatever the context specifically for you, Gemini, the dynamic is the same. You need to move away from someone or this person falls out of the picture. And in all cases, regardless of how it happens, it is very relieving for you and it aligns with you. So quite an interesting read and also quite clear in terms of what's going on here. Let me know what you make of them, Gemini. As always, I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. Very best of luck with this. I really hope you get past it very quickly. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what is in store for you this week. Okay, Cancer, here is your line of 7. It's quite an interesting line. We have a couple of really positive cards. We have the key and clover, and we also have the tree. These are really nice cards. They're also green cards, so there's a sense of well-being and healing all around. There's an interesting progression of the cards, especially with the snake at the end of the line. The tree at the center is very much a card of patience and being centered. And, it's a centered card right in the center. It's also an unmoving card. So here we have some more active cards, but the tree seems to block this a little bit. And it calls for you to be patient and to be still and to sit on things within the week. The rider, clover, and snake can bring movement, but it's definitely slower movement, especially with the snake. So quite an interesting set of cards. Let's build it from the ground up. We have the key, road, and bird. These are great cards for going places and for moving forward. And the key definitely brings a green light. It's also a card of success, and it's also a card of opening up in terms of opportunities. The road with the bird can suggest travel, maybe shorter term travel, and the tree can mean a restful place. So another way we could look at these cards is in terms of going somewhere to spend time on your own, to slow down, and to enjoy some time off for yourself. That is possible. In another sense, the cards are really good for growth. So this is definitely an opportunity of growth and progress. It can even be something like a promotion if we're looking at work, but in all cases, they're great cards for growth. At the same time, there is a slowing down energy all around, and it's really important for you to have a strong sense of inner wisdom, inner foundation, and whatever activities are happening around you, Cancer, be sure that you tune into yourself and you move forward with this sense of inner strength and inner wisdom and moving slower than these cards might ask you to. So keep your strong tree in mind. Now, the Rider is also a card of progress and news, and it's really nice to see it with the tree because it adds to that growth and movement, these pursuits that are helping you grow and expand. The Clover is one of the luckiest cards of the deck, but it's really nice that it comes with the snake. Now, the snake can be a difficult card. It is often a card of deception and dishonesty and people with bad intentions. But with the Clover, two things. It's either that you're the clever person and there is a sense of quietness, again, the sense of being still and going within. And in another sense, the Clover and snake definitely protects you from any negative energy, and also you'll be able to manage people in a smart way. The snake is also a roundabout card. And with these movement cards, it could, again, ask you to slow down. There can be a bit of a detour. Things are not straightforward, but they're still progressing in a lovely way. So this can take on a few different meanings. Let's look at the pairs. We have the Bird and Rider. This is definitely a card of news, communication, possibly even visits with people and things like that. But it is also a combination of travel and small trips. And I'm really thinking here, Cancer, that it's a good idea to get away, move away, enjoy some time off for yourself, to sort of center yourself and slow down and, leave others behind. You don't need to tell everyone what you're up to. The Road and Clover is great for a lucky path that opens up. You could also find interesting things on your way. You could go through, some interesting discoveries, or maybe you land on someone or something by chance. In all cases, you're encouraged to pursue this path. The Key and Snake is lovely. I know the snake can be challenging, but with the Key, it's great for being smart and strategic. And so it tells us that you definitely know how you're going to get what you want, and you're probably going to get it as well. The thing about the tree in the middle is that you want to allow for some, a bit of a passive energy here. Allow things to unfold. Take it easy. Don't be pushy in any way, and also don't share this with others. Things are forming, things are opening up, and you sort of want to just enjoy this and keep it to yourself while it's progressing in this way. Another thing that comes to mind is that the snake can possibly suggest envy. And possibly from your success, or you seem to have a bit of an aura around you this week, Cancer. And so it can be quite attractive, but it can also attract a bit of envy. Now, the cards are really flexible in terms of the context here. We could be looking at a trip, going places, relaxing, doing all of that good stuff this week, Cancer, but it could also be in another context. Like I suggested, maybe there's growth and promotion and other steps like that are good for you. I'm not really seeing people. It seems to be more of a solo week for you, Cancer. And again, it's a good time to take time out and enjoy, some rest like that. So not really seeing people, just seeing progress and a slower energy as you pursue this stuff, and possibly a trip or taking time out. So let me know what you make of this interesting line. I look forward to your feedback as always, Cancer. Very best of luck with the week. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Leo, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what is in store for you this week. Okay, Leo, this is a really interesting line. It can apply to a lot of different contexts. We have the Lily in the middle, which is a card of career and life path. So what happens this week can have a bigger impact on your life. That's possible. But it can also affect your work or your employment in a more direct way, and sometimes also your health. Now, earlier we have the whip, which is challenging, but on the other side here, we have some pretty exciting cards. And it's really interesting to see this triplet. They're a little bit unusual, if you like. Let's go ahead and weave these lines and cards together. The whip and rider is often a card of a combination of speed. Yes, the whip is challenging, but the rider being a person on a horse, the impression that we can get is often this idea of speed. There can also be some challenges, but they're clearly going to be overcome. And the thing about the cards that follow is that we have the child. The child is a card of new beginnings, and the lily can represent a new chapter. So like I said, the lily is a bit of a broader card. It tends to apply on your life in a bigger way. So there can be an exciting new chapter here. And the thing about the whip and rider is that it can happen quickly or possibly unexpectedly. And it can create a sense of urgency as you turn the page into a new chapter. We do have the book on the other side of the lily. This can be a few different things, but the more obvious one in alignment with the previous cards is this idea of a new chapter, which we also see with the child and book. And we see it with this lily card, which is a card of life phases and important milestones. So this is quite exciting, Leo, as you turn the page into a new chapter. And what follows is the bear and heart. And this is so nice to see because the heart is a card of happiness. It tends to be a card of feelings. And with the bear, it can really enhance these feelings and make them big. The bear can also make everything important. So there can be some really powerful feelings of happiness and fulfillment here as you turn the page into a new chapter. This is really lovely. Now, there are a few different, we can apply these cards in different contexts, of course. And so there are a few different ways we can read these cards. Something that comes to mind is in terms of work. Like I said, the lily is a card of career. And the bear, when it comes to work, is a card of seniors, bosses, managers, and people who are higher up, if you like. So there can be a few different ways we read these cards in the context of work. First, you could get a promotion. You could, you could step up to a new level. That is possible. That's definitely going to make you happy. It might come with a bit of stress, but it's certainly aligned with your goals. It can also mean that you meet a new manager or someone important, and it's certainly a nice connection here. So they could be this new person in your life in this situation. And the whip and rider can mean that these changes come quickly. In terms of a personal relationship, the cards are also lovely. There are some swift changes here, or perhaps a fallout with someone and a new chapter with someone. And the bear and heart can mean big feelings, the big love, and things like that. So these are a few ideas across different contexts. You let me know, Leo, in what context you feel these cards materialize mostly for you. So let's continue reading these pairs. We have the child and book. Like I said, this is a new chapter. The rider and bear can be an important meeting with someone. There can also be some important news and big news. Now, the whip and heart would suggest a heartbreak, but because of these cards here, you overcome them. So these are part of the challenges that we saw earlier, especially since we see the cards in this order and the heart is supported by these lovely cards. So we're looking at a change for you this week, Leo. This is something new happening, a new chapter, a new beginning. It can be at work, it could be in another context, it could be a new relationship, but it's certainly exciting. There also seems to be a sense of urgency as the change is ushered in. And then on the other side of it, you can have some really good feelings. I want to add one more suggestion. And this is inspired by the book. The book is a card of learning, reading, writing, researching, and by extension, creativity. And when I see the book with the lily, I really think of a career in these areas. And we have the child earlier and the bear and heart, which can be very fulfilling. So I'm wondering here, Leo, maybe some of you are embracing a different career, one that involves this sort of interest, or it could be a passion that you're doing and engaging in alongside other things in your life. But it seems to be really aligned with you. And I would suggest that you put your heart into it because it's part of your bigger goals. And if it comes with a bit of challenges, that's fine. You will overcome them, but certainly embrace your talents or your pursuits. So really interesting cards, Leo. I really look forward to your thoughts about this, how you resonated with them and in what way. Leave me a thought or two if you're willing to share. Thank you for tuning in. Very best of luck with the week. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Virgo, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what this week has in store for you. Okay, Virgo, here is your line of 7. And as soon as I started dealing out the cards and I got to here, I got the impression that there could be someone abroad who could be calling on you to join them. We have a couple of, well, more than a couple. We have the mountain and bird and the ship, and these can all refer to a place abroad or elsewhere. Farther from where you are, possibly online, but my feeling is more physical. We have the man, coffin, and mountain. So this person is absent. They're abroad or they're in a different location. And then we have the bird, which is a card of news and communication. And then we see the fish, cross, and ship. So this tells me that this person who's abroad, maybe they're away from you or possibly you lose touch from them. But then you hear back, there's news, and then we see the ship at the end. So this tells me that you could either get together somehow, they travel, or you travel. My feeling is that they could be calling on you to travel. So if you travel within the week, that sounds pretty exciting, but it could, if not within the week, it could be something you plan for. Now, something that comes up as well is the fish, and the fish is a card of money. With the cross, it can be a bit burdensome. So in terms of the expense of the trip or the planning and other logistical issues around it, these could weigh on you. But what could also be happening is that there's an opportunity in that location or online. I feel it's physical, but it could be online for some of you. The fish is a card of money, business, work, all those practical things, possibly investments. So you could be pulled into connecting with this person who's away for this purpose, for work purposes. So quite exciting. Let's look at the pairs. We have the mountain and fish. This could be investments abroad, or it could be a business abroad or a customer abroad or opportunities. Or if it's not work related for some of you Virgos, then it could be the expenses or, some maybe indulgence, I have to say. Maybe you want to shop abroad or do some interesting things abroad. That's possible. The coffin and cross is often a combination that points to someone who has passed away. Now, this is very unrelated to what we're talking about. Instead, this pair is suggesting that you take a bit of time to think about this. The cross is about decisions. And if you're going to make a move or travel, then take some time to think about it. It's also possible that this is in relation to this person having been absent, having been out of touch. The thing about the cross is that you can't really do anything about it. So it was sort of just waiting for them to be back in touch. That's also possible. And the man and ship points to travel. Either this person travels or you travel or both of you travel. But there is a sense of movement here that comes after this time apart and this time of silence. So this can be quite exciting. And focus, the bird in the middle is this card of communication. It's a lot more outward than the other cards. Certainly aligns with the ship and this idea of going somewhere. It's externalized, if you see what I mean. So this is quite exciting, Virgo. You could have an opportunity to travel somewhere, whether it's for personal, business, or other reasons. It sounds like there's someone who's there who could have been away and out of touch, and then you hear back, and then there's like an opportunity to connect somehow. Either you go or they come, or there's an opportunity to travel. Count the costs, and if this is a bigger decision, like something financial or an investment and things like that, then definitely take your time thinking about it. But because the ship is in the middle of Virgo, it's quite likely that you're going to go ahead and pursue this. So really exciting. Let me know what you make of this, Virgo. Let me know who this person is and what the context was, if it's something personal, or this is a friend, or something work related, or another matter in your life. Let me know if you're willing to share. So very best of luck with this, Virgo. Thank you as always for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Libra, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what is in store for you this week. Okay, Libra, these are some interesting cards. They seem to be focused on money and work. So this could be a main focus for you, but it doesn't have to. Although, with the fish and fox, it's quite focused on this. Something really comes to mind with the snake here, and especially with the scythe in the middle, which is a card of separation. And then we see the house, fish, and fox. So let me tell you what comes to mind from the get-go. This could be either a renter that you kick out, or you leave for some reasons here, disappointment and challenges. And there can be other changes in such environments or work environments. The scythe is very much a card of change. We see it after the snake and rider, which are very much about turning away. And we see it with the house, which is often a breakaway from a certain environment. And then we see the fish and fox, which are really good for money and work, employment, probably employment that is that has a good money aspect. So let's back up to the beginning of the line. We start the line with the clover, actually, and the clover is a very bright card. It's a very lucky card. And in the context of the separation and changes that we see here, it tells us that you have inner guidance and that you know what to do. So don't doubt yourself. Make a break, make a change, because it's going to enable you to embrace a better situation that is more prosperous and probably also more secure with the house. It's also a great message of someone leaving or something breaking away. And the thing about the clover is that you can turn this to your advantage and seize the opportunity to land yourself in a more prosperous position. Something like a specific scenario that I'm thinking about is maybe someone leaves at your job, or they're fired or something like that. And so this is an opportunity for you to step in. It can also be someone who is quite negative, which is very likely because of the snake. And so if they leave, it creates this sense of security for you. That's possible. In another sense, perhaps you're the one who's leaving in order to take advantage of an opportunity that comes your way that's going to create a more secure situation for you. So all sorts of scenarios are possible, but the idea is that there is a change that is to your advantage. So whether you change, someone else changes, or there's like a restructuring in this environment, it is to your advantage, and somehow it creates a strong foundation for you. So the snake and rider is very much about turning away, and the scythe is much sharper. It creates a break and a separation. With the house, it's often a house move. That's possible. But since we're building on the previous cards, it can be someone leaving from a certain environment, or you parting ways with a certain space. And then we see the fish and fox, which are great for employment. And they suggest a job with a strong financial element. That's possible. It can also point to other work arrangements. It doesn't have to be employment in a straightforward way. It depends on how you work. You can have a customer, or maybe someone helps you with your money if it's not about work directly, and it creates more security for you. Now, it can also point to housing, and maybe you rent or you're a renter. The thing about the fish and fox, it often represents the rent, the landlord, buying, selling, agents, and people like that in a specific real estate context. So that can apply for some of you. And what we see here is that the change that is happening is definitely going to be better for your security. So either you're kicking out a renter, or you are leaving in order to find a better space, a more secure, and a space that's better for your pockets. Or there can be other changes that you make that are beneficial for this space. I'm thinking maybe repairs, renovations, and things like that increase the value of your property, for example. That's a very specific example, but it can apply. So you see how these strong changes here, they create a security on this side. And the fact that we have the clover earlier really supports this. So very exciting. Let's look at these pairs. We have the rider and house. Typically, I would take this as suggesting a visitor or going to someone's place or someone coming to you. It can also be news and communication. In terms of the changes here, I think it's more about the interaction that needs to happen in order to make this change materialize. The snake and fish is great for money. The snake is challenging, yes, but with money, it's great because it is very much about keeping your eyes on the prize, focusing on your priorities, having a really clever strategy, and pursuing your financial goals. And the clover and fox is also great. It's great for jobs. It's great for being smart, for being strategic. So again, we're seeing these cards that help you turn the situation around to your advantage or take advantage of it in a way that puts you in this space of security. So definitely draw the line, Libra, make a change. And, if it's something that's happening outside of your control, then be ready to take advantage of it so you can create more security. I also want to suggest, that if there are people or situations in your life that are draining your resources or taking away from your time or your money or your sense of security, then this is definitely an opportunity, Libra, to get them out of your life so you can protect your assets, your resources, your time, and your money. Definitely be self-interested about this, if not outright selfish. So get these things out, so you can protect your space, your time, your work, your resources, all of that, because it's very clear what's happening here. Something needs to go, and it needs to go soon. So I really hope you can embrace this change and you can be sharp and smart about it because it's to your advantage. Let me know what you make of this, Libra. As always, I look forward to your thoughts and feedback. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Scorpio, let's get into your weekly reading and let's see what this week has in store for you. Okay, Scorpio, this is a lovely line. There's a lot of distance and parting and time apart and things taking time in the cards. And then we have the beautiful flowers at the end. So something is going to pay off, or at least you start to see it pay off this week. And it sounds like it could have been a long time, or it's something that you had been pursuing for some time. And it could have felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. But hopefully this week you get some beautiful signs of it materializing. And it's not just the flowers that's very beautiful. We also have the stars, which is an all-around wish fulfillment card. Now, something else that could be happening here is that travel is in focus. We have the mountain, which is a card of a distant location. We have the road and the bird. And the thing about the coffin and flowers together is that this is very much a combination of something coming back after a phase of an uneventful phase, or a time apart, or a time when nothing was happening, or at least it felt that way. So it can take on a few different meanings, but it's definitely nice to see the flowers at the end because it brings this energy of success and optimism after this distance and time apart. So we've got the Tower and Road. These are the first two cards, and this could have been a long pursuit for you, Scorpio. And it could also be a place from the distant past. And with the stars and mountain, it's like there's a healing. The mountain can be that place abroad, and the bird can be a card of travel. And with the coffin, it's like it was away, or, there was a time apart. The bird is also a card of communication. And with the coffin, it sounds like you hadn't heard from this person for a while. But again, the flowers bring things back into motion. It is a card of healing, and it is associated with spring. So this idea of flowers and all of nature, waking up again after the dead of winter. And so we really see this in the cards. this time apart, this long distance, this long phase that you were hoping would materialize, finally materializes. So really nice cards. So it can apply in a few different contexts. Maybe you're going back to a place you haven't been to in a long time and that you had been aspiring to go to for a long time. It can also mean that you hear back from someone who had been disconnected for some time. And it can also mean that your efforts on your projects, the things that you're hoping to see materialize, they didn't materialize for a long time. And then this week you start to see signs of success and your efforts paying off. So all of these can apply. Now, I'm not really seeing people cards as such, but usually with the bird, there can be communication. And so it's likely that there is maybe a contact again. But it's not necessary, though. Like I said, there are other interpretations. So this is exciting. So keep the faith, because things are going to pay off. You're going to hear back. You are going to go back. All of these are possible. The stars and bird is some really good news, happy news, and news of wishes materializing. The road and coffin is the end of the road normally, or it could be a long path that hasn't really led to anything. The beautiful tower and flowers is a renewal, and forgiveness is a good idea with these cards. And so there's this idea of something coming back from the past, and it feels really good. It's really bright. So some really nice cards, with a very specific meaning and a very, like a really strong concentration of these cards together to emphasize this idea of something that had been away or distant comes back, or something that had been on hold or asleep, if you like, awakens again. So really, really nice cards. Let me know what you make of this, Scorpio. Let me know in what context these cards applied to you. I'd be very curious if you're willing to share. Very best of luck with this. Hang in there. It's going to come through. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Sagittarius, let's get into your weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what is ahead for you this week. Okay, Sagittarius, here is your line of 7. And we do see the whip in the cards. So you are in for a challenge, but we do see these beautiful cards that follow the whip and the road. And we have the ship, and then the anchor, also the tree, and we have the road earlier. So we have some movement cards here, and then we have some settled and landing cards here. So you could be moving or going someplace, and you do face challenges in this journey, but it is worth the trouble, actually, because we see that you land in a space of security and also a lot of happiness. The sun is one of the brightest cards of the deck, and it's really nice to see it after these, the whip, specifically the challenging whip, as it tells us that you're going to overcome the challenges on your path on this journey. And so the challenges are not meant to deter you, Sagittarius. The sun encourages you to pursue them because you're going to be able to resolve whatever issues come up. Now, it doesn't have to be a physical journey or a physical trip. It can be a venture or some kind of objective that you're pursuing. And again, the same idea applies with the whip. There are challenges and problems, but you're able to overcome them and land in a really strong space of security here. So really nice cards. So let's back up to the beginning of the line. We have the fish and ship. These are really good cards for business, for work, and also for efforts paying off in general. They're great for sales, quite literally. And so we could be looking at this area of work, money, and business at this time. The whip points to challenges. So again, this journey or your efforts face some challenges. Now, what these challenges are is going to be really specific to your situation. It depends. It could be financial problems. It could be problems getting things done, or things not moving in the way that you want. All sorts of challenges are possible depending on your specific situation. And we also see the road after the whip. Now, the road is a card of choice and changes. It is also a card of journeys, like with the ship, but it has that added element of being at crossroads, which is often a suggestion of a choice. So you might need to do something here. You might need to make a decision about how you deal with this issue. That's fine. But the roads are still about pursuing the journey. So like the ship. So it is a bit of a bumpy ride. There are issues that come up. But again, it's not meant to deter you because of what we're going to see after the road. So we've got the sun. It is an all-around bright card. In fact, it is one of the brightest cards of the deck. And it is quite strong, so it can overpower the whip, especially in this order, as we see in this combination here. So that's another reassuring message that you will overcome the challenges. And then we have the tree and anchor, and both of these cards are very solid and very rooted. So they do create an element of security, and it sounds like you arrive or you achieve your goals, you land in the space that you want to. The tree is also a card of well-being. And it's really nice to see it with the sun. This is great for healing. And the anchor is really strong. And with the tree and really all of these cards here, it gives you a strong sense of security, happiness, and a job well done. So really nice cards. And again, encouraging you to deal with these challenges because you're soon going to overcome them, Sagittarius. Now, the next pair is the ship and tree. So another idea of traveling and arriving. The ship is a movement card. The tree is the opposite. And in this order, you travel or you pursue these objectives and you arrive at this space of I would say wisdom and serenity, and there is a strong sense of security, especially with the anchor. The fish and anchor is great with money, and it's great with creating healthy boundaries around money. I can also suggest, Sagittarius, that if you had some financial troubles, you're able to rectify them. If we are looking at financial losses, it's possible that you're able to recover them. But certainly the anchor asks for good discipline. The tree really reinforces that. So these are some really good cards to help you overcome this disorienting situation that we see with the whip and ship into a space of security and strength. Also really good for financial success in general. So keep forging ahead, Sagittarius. You are going to achieve your goal. Keep moving forward. You're going to land in this place that you want. And despite the challenges, if you are traveling, you can still arrive in a space of comfort and happiness all around. So really nice cards, provided, Sagittarius, that you're willing to put up with the issues and see yourself through. Keep your optimism foremost in mind, and you're going to overcome this. And not just overcome it, but also land in this beautiful space of security and wish fulfillment. So keep that in mind as well. Let me know what you make of these cards, Sagittarius. Leave me a comment or two if you're willing to share. Very best of luck with the week. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Capricorn, let's get into your weekly reading and see what is in store for you. Okay, Capricorn, this is a really curious line. We have an interesting mix of cards. We do have some bright cards here, but somewhat challenging cards on the other side. And I'm getting the impression, just from this overview, that you feel good where you are and you're not really looking forward to the next phase or the next space or the next step in your journey. We have the beautiful star in the middle here. It is an all-around wish fulfillment and healing card. So there's certainly a lot of bright energy. Let's back up to the beginning of the line. We have the house with the child and bear. So this could be a new home, a new space, potentially a new relationship. But certainly with the stars, it is a very positive feeling, a very positive situation. The bear makes everything big and important. It can be a reference to this environment. Usually it suggests something important, and it can also be empowering. It can also refer to a person, usually someone protective. And I have to say, this is potentially a mother-child relationship. With the house, we could be looking at family. So these are some really good cards, really beautiful energies here with your home, your family, or maybe people who are closer to you. And if it's about new people and new spaces, you certainly feel good about them, and you certainly feel good in this environment. So a really nice situation here that I think you could be landing in and feeling good about it. And that's because the bear and house are quite established, and so they have that sense of being anchored. So it can be growing on you. It can feel really good. Now, on the other side here, we have some curious cards. We have the mouse, mountain, and fox. And these are challenging cards. The mouse and fox tend to be a bit challenging, and the mouse can be a card of obstacle, especially if we have more negative cards nearby. At the same time, Capricorn, these are not very dramatic cards. They're not a huge deal. They're not like the whip, the scythe, and, those sorts of dramatic cards. Now, the mouse and mountain can represent a few obstacles. There can be some blockages that you could be dealing with. And the fox can be a reference to the people you have a blockage with. Maybe there's a communication issue, or it could be about certain things that you have to do. And that's because the fox is a card of discipline. And it can also be a reference to your job, your work, or, your activity in usually a day-to-day way. So my feeling here is that you're dreading a little bit the work. You're dreading a little bit the disciplines that you need to attend to. I feel that you're in a happy place here, and you're not really looking forward to getting to work or, doing the more boring things in your life, if we can put it that way. The mountain is also a card of distant places abroad, or just farther from where you are. And with the mouse and fox, there can be some issues in that location in parallel with the good stuff that you're experiencing here. Or it can be a reference to people in that space, or a job or work that you have in that place. There could also be some issues or things that are dragging, or, people not being really helpful, things not really moving in the way that you want. And that can be part of the annoyances. But it's not to say that you aren't experiencing a good situation here. So balance the two, and also if they're separate, then separate the two. Keep them separate, just be aware of what's going on there, see what you can do about it, but also enjoy your space and your time and what you're doing right now. Another way we can read in these cards is that you could be pursuing certain aspirations. You could be having some big goals, Capricorn. And you really want to step into, this new beginning. But you will find that getting things off the ground could be a bit challenging this week. It's also a good idea to step back a little bit and strategize. So you don't want to be too like you're inspired and everything, but you don't want to be too idealistic about everything. You want to have a good plan and be practical about things. And it's at that point where you could, face some obstacles or have doubts and things like that. But that's just part of the process, Capricorn, where you're trying to manifest your dreams, your goals into something tangible. So it's going to be the steps, the things that you need to do, the thinking, the planning that you need to do so that it can come to fruition. Let's look at the pairs here. We have the bear and mouse. This could be some challenges, possibly big ones. And the reason I say that is because the bear makes everything big. So with the message of the mouse, Capricorn, it's always a good idea to take care of things while they are small and manageable so that they don't grow into something bigger. So just be mindful of this and deal with the issues. In terms of the bear representing a person, there can be, a bit of tension with this person. It's not very dramatic, but you just want to be mindful and also be selective about what you share with this person and to what extent you trust them. So just a cautionary note here. The child and mountain is lovely. It is a combination that suggests a very important new chapter opening up for you. And it might not seem to what extent this is going to be significant for you. It's still in process, but it certainly aligns well with this, the first four cards here. The house and fox can point to a few things. It can point to a relationship at home, a bit tricky to manage, someone you need to be a bit careful with, or maybe you don't share everything with. That's possibility. Another is pointing to a colleague or work-related matters. It can also be someone who helps you with certain things, usually people like accountants, lawyers, people like that, agents, people like that. So perhaps there is, someone who is going to be in the picture for the issues here, but also possibly the bright things here. So there are really bright prospects, Capricorn, overall. There is a new beginning. It's just that there are some steps that are a bit tricky as you move into this, and you might need to plan things a bit more carefully. In terms of people, it's also looking bright. There can be maybe some tricky aspects to relationships, maybe trust-wise, maybe you don't feel you can share everything with this person. It's maybe not the most pleasant of things, but it's also not dramatic at all. It's something that you have under control. And I want you to focus, Capricorn, on your dreams and your aspirations and how to make them happen, because this is the most important things. You could be going through a transition here, moving into something new and having to move forward with it. It's not the most straightforward first steps, but that's fine. It's in process. So let me know what you make of these ideas, Capricorn. I'm certainly interested to know which interpretation you felt resonated mostly with your specific situation, if you're willing to share. And also let me know, a few of the details here, what the issues was and what this new beginning is about, again, if you're willing to share. So very best of luck with this, Capricorn. Thank you as always for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Aquarius, let's get into your weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what is in store for you this week. Okay, Aquarius, here is your line of 7, and it's looking so bright and it's looking peaceful. It sounds like you're in a really good place. Things are unfolding in a way that you desire. And there are quite a few positive cards. The star is right in the center. It is an all-around wish fulfillment and healing card, and it's great for any situation. We also have the clover, which is a very lucky card, and we have the tree, which is very peaceful. We do have an element of staying where you are and hanging out, maybe at home or on your own. We have the garden and house, which can refer to your space. It can be your work, your office, or whatever space you feel good in. And we have the tree and tower. Both of these cards are also settled cards. The tree and tower are also cards of solitude. So you could be spending a lot of time on your own this week, and it seems really good for you. You seem to be really comfortable in your space, enjoying your peace. You're in your zone, you're in your element, and it just feels all around peaceful. So a good week for time on your own, resting, relaxing, or just taking care of yourself and taking care of other things. That's a very clear suggestion coming through the line. We have the clover and star. You could be looking at achieving goals or wishes materializing, something really good happening and feeling really good about it. And then with the tower and tree, there is again this sense of being settled and calm. They're also good cards for growth. The tree is a card of growth. The tower has to do with that elevation and the top. So with the star, you could achieve something pretty good here this week. Now we have the book at the end of the line. It can mean a few things. It usually represents secrets and things that are not known. So you could be working through a mystery or researching, digging into something. That's possible. It can be a revelation, especially when the illustration inspires that opening. So that's possible. Now, the thing about the tower and tree is that they're kind of slower. So it's not like there's like a breakthrough or something like that. It's slower. It's more gradual. And again, I feel this is more about researching and digging into knowledge. It could also be about learning. Very good with the tower and tree. Usually higher education is suggested. So you could be writing, researching, teaching, learning, any of these activities are very much highlighted. And it's a really good week to curl up with a good book at home, in your space, or read and write and do, these things that make you feel good. And by extension, the book can also be creativity in general. So it's definitely a good week to focus on yourself and your passions, Aquarius, spending time on yourself, in your space, doing the things you enjoy, and also really enjoying the goals that you could achieve. Very beautiful cards, I have to say, very peaceful, easygoing and smooth and healing cards. The Clover and Tower is great for long-term security and long-term protection. So focus on your long-term vision, Aquarius. You could also get some good news from the past, or something that you had been working on materializes or starts to bear fruit. The House and Tree is very much about going within and being on a solid foundation. We're clearly seeing from the cards that you shouldn't make changes this week. It's very much about building on top of what you already have, creating security around that. Also great cards for going within and being on one's own. The Garden and Book is another combination that's really good for learning. It could be a learning environment, a classroom. You could be teaching, learning, reading, maybe in a reading group and things like that. The cards are more solo, but you certainly have some kind of involvement that's really inspiring, and that is very much part of your achieving your objectives here. So really nice cards, Aquarius. Now, they can apply in different contexts, although I feel that the clearest interpretation is that you're doing your thing this week, you're going within, you're also achieving goals, and you could also be dreaming big, and going after your aspirations. So really nice to pursue your objectives, really good for learning, teaching, and all of that. In terms of relationships, perhaps you could be meeting some people with the Garden and Book, with the Garden and House. But within this week, it's taking a more gradual pace. So taking your time, getting to know people, not necessarily being over involved. It's a quiet week. So you sort of want to, respect the energies, these quiet energies, because I think they're nurturing you. The Clover and Star and the Book and Tree, it's really about your inner growth, not just what you're doing in the world. So I feel these are the themes that are coming up for you. It can involve your job. These are really good cards for the job as well, where you feel secure in your work, in your business, or whatever it is you do. We're not seeing money and relationships in a straightforward way, but the cards are really gentle and peaceful across any context. So take it easy, take it slow this week, Aquarius. Focus on yourself, nurture these aspirations, learn, read, write, teach, enjoy these activities and other forms of creativity, because they're really, you're really aligned with them this week. Let me know what you make of these lovely cards. I'd be really interested in your thoughts and your perspective. Very best of luck with the week, Aquarius. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself. Okay, Pisces, let's get into weekly reading. Let's draw your line of 7 and see what is in store for you this week. Okay, Pisces, here is your line of 7. It's a really interesting line. There's a few things going on. It's mostly neutral. We're not seeing some challenging cards or very positive cards, but there is a focus on a person or people. We have the woman and the dog. And then we have the bear, which can sometimes represent a person. So what is going on here? Let's back up to the beginning of the line. We have the Book, Woman, and Coffin. Now, the Book and Woman would normally suggest someone whom you do not know yet, and maybe you are going to meet someone new. The thing about the Coffin is that it might not materialize within the week, or maybe things are postponed or they take time to get off the ground. But what is also possible is that you don't feel that this relationship picks up, or maybe it doesn't really go anywhere. The thing about the Coffin is that it's a good idea to let it go, Pisces, and see if it comes up later on. We have the Tower in the middle. The Tower is a card of the past and all the long term as well. And with the Coffin, it can take time for things to materialize with this woman. Now, before I go further, I just want to say that who this person is, who this woman is, who this dog is really flexible. We're not really seeing a theme like work or love or money. So we're not really seeing a specific theme. So who this person is really going to come down to your details. So back to the Tower, and with the Coffin, there is this idea of the long term and things taking time. We have the dog on the other side, which can bring the relationship again, or perhaps it's another person that comes into the picture. And with the Cross and Bear, you might need to make an important decision. The Bear is a card of empowerment, and it can be bright, but the other cards are more on the neutral side. So I feel that the Bear with the Cross is more about having to take on some responsibilities, bearing your cross. And also it can feel like these people are a little bit heavy. So again, I'm not really seeing a joyous energy here, Pisces, this week. It sounds like it's more about trying to connect with someone, trying to move forward with a person. And it seems like it's like slow, it's not really easy. It's not getting off the ground and things like that. So all of these are possible. Now, again, who these people are is flexible. It depends. Let's leave it till the end to consider a few different themes. For now, let's turn to the pairs. So we have the Coffin and Dog. Again, it can mean that things take time before this person comes around. It's potentially a suggestion to let go of this person. I would have preferred the opposite order, but it's still possible. And we have the Dog with the Tower. So the Tower being a card of the past, it can mean that it takes time for things to pick up with this person. We have the Woman and Cross, again, this element of heaviness. So this person might not be all that enthusiastic. Maybe you have some projects or some ideas in mind, or, you're feeling like you want to connect with someone. I'm not sure they reciprocate so much, Pisces, but get a feel for it and see what you make of it. The Cross can also bring up the decisions with this person or about this person. So again, it's like things are in process and in transition. The Book and Bear is great for first of all, a revelation, because the book is after the bear, so it can be some big news. So hopefully after this pulling and, trying to make things work, things can step up and take on some, like a more energetic way forward. And also this is a really nice combination for writing, publishing, and things like that. And by extension, creativity. They're also great cards for teaching. The Bear is a card of authority, and actually so is the Tower. So this can be about trying to, to take up a position of power. Maybe you teach, or, you want to offer something that is possible. It's also a good idea, Pisces, to learn what you need to learn, to pick up some knowledge. The Tower in book is often higher education. So maybe you want to specialize a little bit more and dig into some information. So it's an interesting line. It's kind of curious, the way the cards are together. It's not the most joyous of lines. We were not seeing bright cards and things like that, but it does seem to be geared towards some kind of step up or improvement. It doesn't really pick up within. I don't see it materializing within the week. I think this week it's more about the groundwork, communicating with the right people, getting a feel for how things will go. And then hopefully the following week you'll have a bit of a push forward. Now, let's look at these cards in different contexts to sort of refine them. In terms of work, the cards are not so great. Maybe you're pursuing a promotion or some kind of improvement. But I'm not sure you get it within the week, Pisces. So we're not seeing bright cards in this regard. It's still a good idea to keep talking to managers. Both the Tower and the Bear can be managers. And by contrast, the Dog is the junior. So there might be, a bit more work to be done. And it's a good idea to align with your managers if that's what you're pursuing. In terms of personal relationships, it sounds like someone just wants to stay away, or you want to stay away from them. It's definitely a good idea not to force the relationship and to give space as needed. And also you take your space. And in this process, Pisces, you might consider this relationship. Maybe you're revisiting it. But I also feel that it's possible that you feel it's a bit heavy on you and you just need your space. It can be that sort of a relationship. In terms of a love relationship, I have to wonder if there isn't a third party in the picture. Now, usually I like the snake. It's standardly the snake that represents a third party, but we have two people. We have the woman and the dog, and maybe there is this sort of issue or situation in the relationship. So in terms of a love relationship, perhaps there's interference, but if not, I feel, Pisces, that maybe you want your space, and maybe you're rethinking the relationship. You're thinking maybe it's better as a friendship. Maybe it's not really going anywhere as it stands. So these are questions that could come up this week, although I'm not really seeing that you act on anything this week. Instead, it seems to be more slow and assessing and trying to see where things go. So these are a few suggestions in terms of how we can apply the cards in different contexts. I certainly look forward to your feedback on these curious cards, Pisces. Let me know how they played out, what they meant for you, and who these people were, if you're willing to share. Very best of luck with this. Thank you as always for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself.